Okay, well, we're finally back after 2 weeks of random, unproperly edited videos. I'm here to talk about something different this time that doesn't seem like it's shoehorned in because there was no news before before I left. So, welcome back, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something a little different. I guess it's not too different from what I usually talk about. But anyways, getting into it. Do you guys remember way back, like maybe 2010s, early 2000s, when movie licensed games were all the rage? And by rage, I mean they sucked. You don't see a lot of that nowadays, actually. Instead, you get things like Marvel's Avengers, and I'm not going to talk about whether or not I think that game is actually bad. Never played it, not my place to talk about it. But I'm here to talk about the new, or not really new, but kind of new, victim of licensed games and the curse that is licensed games, and that is anime. Now, here's the thing. Let me preface this. Anime games are not in the state of what movie licensed games were. Those games were just bad. They had barely written out or fleshed out concepts, and were barely functional beyond a basic level. There were some good ones, but there's always going to be some good ones of something. The disparity between movie games and, like, AAA games in the industry was astonishingly obvious, and it was pretty obvious that movie games were an easy way to make money off of a IP, and probably exploiting children and people who are less educated about video games. So anime games are absolutely not in the same state, but it sometimes becomes apparent that anime games are in the state of missing potential. A lot of potential. There are some absolutely impressive games, like the Naruto ones, and the upcoming Demon Slayer game doesn't actually look that bad, but they still follow a base concept of being the same type of game over and over again. And they don't change the formula because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But I want to talk a little bit about that today. Hey guys, I'm Tiller. I make videos about topics concerning the gaming industry, review games, which I'm sorry there hasn't been a review in a while. I'm still trying to find a game that I want to review, and I can't crank out reviews that quickly, but I'll talk about that probably in a different video or maybe on stream, but we'll get there when we get there. And I do live stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/TillerBrick, which we've rebranded, hooray! I wanted to make my name a little more unique and not just Tiller, because there are actually a lot of channels out there with that name, so whatever. Anyways, moving on. So, anime video games are not as awful as movie games, and I've said that before. In fact, I feel like they are complete games that are fun with a few flaws here and there. There's nothing specifically broken about them. Now, I want to specify which type of anime games I'm getting into, because that's a very broad term, as I've reviewed games like Scarlet Nexus, and I've talked about games like Persona and Pokemon, all of which are anime-styled or anime games in some capacity. I want to talk about Shonen Anime. Like, you got your My Hero Academia, your Naruto, those kinds of IPs. So, these kinds of games are in a rough spot, and the ever-rising popularity of this genre creates more demand for video games for it, and an easy way to get more people into your IP. So enough of this padding. What's the problem? Every single shonen that gets a game gets an arena fighter. There are probably some exceptions, but it's pretty commonplace that the first game you see with shonen games is an arena fighter. So, if you keep up with games, you're probably no stranger to this fighting style, or this style of fighting game, and this style of game in general. It started with the Dragon Ball anime, it started with Dragon Ball, essentially, I think. And just through the years, that formula has been shown to work for shonen anime. It makes sense. You have a 3D arena, and your fighters have moves that allow them to push opponents back, all that kind of thing. And you see this through the years. Naruto, My Hero, Demon Slayer, Jump Force, J-Stars, and there's probably way more. I feel like we'll see one for Jujutsu Kaisen in the future, and I feel like that could work, which means it's probably happening. Anyways, essentially what I'm trying to say is that there is an intense oversaturation of these kinds of games coming specifically from Shonen Anime. The sad part is that you can see a line where they can at least get more creative with these games. The upcoming Demon Slayer game and Naruto game, which I mentioned previously, are both made by CyberConnect 2. They have overworld segments that are at least mildly explorable, on top of the arena battler. This kind of shows that there is a greater ground for anime games to cover. And it's kind of disappointing to just constantly see this formula recycled over and over again. On the other hand, My Hero Academia has two big games, these being One's Justice and its sequel, One's Justice 2. These games are solid and fun, as I've played them for numerous hours. I believe I have a total of about 60 to 70 hours on them combined. And they're fun, but it feels like some of them lack charm. And you're essentially playing just an arena fighter in the My Hero world, and its story mode is disappointing, dare I say. I don't think that's controversial. If you watch the show or just read the manga, you're getting the same experience, potentially the better experience, in my opinion, either way you go. On top of that, the graphics themselves aren't that impressive, and they could be better, maybe with different lighting or shading or something. As, I mean, look at this teaser trailer, right? And now look at the game. I know it's not particularly right to compare a CGI teaser trailer to a game, but I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say that these kinds of visuals are achievable in-game. And they just went with whatever is this art style, which isn't horrible, but it's not super impressive either. Now, there are some games that do break this cycle. Dragon Ball FighterZ does break this cycle quite a little bit. It's a 2D fighter. It's an absolutely gorgeous game. There's so much charm to it with the art style and the way it's all portrayed. It's one of the biggest competitive fighters out there, and I think DLC for that game is just ending. I can't be totally sure. I couldn't find a great source, as I personally don't play it. However, I do love fighting games. But I wouldn't expect to see anything from Arc System Works, who is probably busy with their other titles like Guilty Gear, Melty Blood, and Blaze Blue for a while. So don't expect to see another anime fighter with this kind of charm, with this kind of passion put into it for a little while. So enough rambling. You're probably wondering, well, what the hell do you want then? What is it that you want out of these anime games? And I don't speak for everyone in these cases. I feel as though there are many types of games that can be made off of an anime IP. As I've theorized with some friends before, My Hero could have an open-world brawler game similar to those like Spider-Man and Infamous, where you play as a character of your choosing, or specifically a character like Midoriya, and complete tasks around the map, along with a small, somewhat relevant story, be it the anime story or a entirely original plot that you can stick somewhere in between a time skip that happens. I don't know, but you get the point. Demon Slayer could honestly have a Souls-like, and I don't see a reason not to pursue that, considering the pretty large fan base that just those kinds of games have. I mean, Code Vein, for crying out loud, is Studio Ship's first attempt at a Souls-like, and it's not perfect, but I'd like to note that it still sold really well, especially for being a brand new IP from Bandai Namco, which those games typically do not sell super well, so it's good, you know? And I really think we could see a Souls-like out of Demon Slayer. There are definitely some games and some IPs that fit the arena fighter style, and I think Jujutsu Kaisen is honestly a near perfect fit for this kind of style based on what I've seen and what I know about it. And that's not to say there aren't other routes they can take. They could easily take a more a more interesting approach to this IP, but I'm just saying this series in particular really does work for the Arena Fighter style, for Arena Fighter games. All in all, I just want to see anime licensed games expand their reach. There's so much potential in each of these IPs, and it feels wrong to watch each of them be reduced to the same type of game over and over again. Seeing mobile games for My Hero advertised makes me think that there could be something bigger and interesting that could happen with this IP, and it's being relegated to being a mobile game, and it's a bit saddening. I would love to see these licenses get games that are worthy of their reputation. An Arena Fighter here or there doesn't hurt, but honestly, putting in the idea to make something different will set your game apart. I'd love to see more 2D fighters, platform fighters, and just other genres of games. They don't even have to be fighting games anymore. And I just really want them to extend these concepts and these ideas to more interesting styles. I want anime games to kind of be on the same level as other like AAA games that we get today, as many of them are. There's effort put in, don't get me wrong. I will never say that there isn't effort put into a project, but I really wish that there could be something more to it. As these IPs are so popular, especially shonen stuff, you could make a fantastic game, and it'll sell to people who are looking for a cool game, and it will also sell to people who just want anime games that are just something more than an arena fighter. And even the people who do want arena fighters, if they like the IP, if they're a fan of the show, they'll buy it. But that's how I feel about anime games. Thanks for watching or listening to this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. And I want to hear what you guys think, anyone watching. What do you guys think about anime games? What do you think about the ones we have now? What's your favorite? Is there any reason why you wouldn't buy them? What are your reasons for that? Do you dislike the games that are out there now? Do you feel like they just never work the way you want to? And would there be a style of game from a specific anime that would make you happy? Let me know in the comments, because I'm interested in what your ideas are, because my ideas are limited. Anyways, this has been Tiller, and I'll see you guys next week.